foods and stay away from anything in a shake form?
I would say cool. Like I would say that's right. I mean, I would say that's right on. I would say, listen, again, why I talk so much about the need for superfoods is like, I eat whole foods and I've been a vegan for over 10 years, and you continue to, so it's not a magic bullet, but from my point of view, the need for superfoods is because of that nutrient density, and it's filling the gaps. So eat great, please. Like, do all of that, and that's my argument here is, listen, whether I created Shakeology or not, I would be saying the same damn thing, is that we need to eat the best that we can. Hell, grow your own food, you know. If you can do that, do it, eat it. But our situation, we don't have all of the nutrients that we need. Therefore, the need for superfoods, in addition to wherever you're at, if you're just starting and Shakeology is the catalyst to get you feeling better, and then you reach for other foods and incorporate more of a healthy lifestyle, awesome. Or you have a healthy lifestyle and you understand that superfoods are also gonna give you that much more, right? So it's not an either or, it's an and. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect. I wanna ask a question that was asked from our survey about Shakeology for children. Is it something that you would do with your child, or is it something you would recommend, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I definitely would recommend, maybe if it were me, because I can't, listen, the individual needs. Kids are pre-programmed. They're depending on their parents, depending on the environment. There's specific needs that they have, so I can't, just like someone being pregnant, in theory and in general, yes, it's fine. Maybe to not a full serving. That said, in the coming year, there's some things that may help more specifically to that question. That's as general.
Okay, so a common question that I get as a coach, and as many of us have probably received in our experience, is what about Shakeology? I know you probably know what this is gonna go, where this is gonna go, but Shakeology in pregnancy and nursing moms.
Yeah, well, again, it's an individual thing. Everyone is required different things at different times in their life, period, and especially being pregnant. Again, in general, yes, it's fine, and there's many people that have thrived through pregnancy, as well as nursing. But that being said, because of that delicate time, you should always be consulting your doctor, and hopefully that doctor, not to make them all bad, but hopefully that doctor has a functional understanding of food and nutrition. The challenge is that you'll find guys and gals, doctors that don't, so they'll just poo-poo the whole thing. So you want a great doctor, and if you need a better one, find them. But that being said, if I were pregnant, that's like whenever it goes a certain way legally, well, for me, I would be consuming, because again, it's nutrient-dense foods. But unless you have a specific genetic individual thing that's expressing itself or occurring, then of course you need to consult a smarter doctor.
Thanks.
We received a really interesting question. I'm actually going to read it word for word because there's some detail here. I'm interested to see your perspective on this and how you answer it. It says, quote, "I come from an Indiana farming family. My family raises beef cattle. They vaccinate because if one steer gets sick, they can potentially all get sick. Wiping out an entire herd can devastate my family's livelihood. For similar reasons, my family also sprays their crops for insects and other damaging factors such as fungus. While our crops are not raised for food consumption, it's hard to fathom not spraying. That would be a huge devastation and hinder income. What do you see as an alternative to those farmers who are farming in the only way they know how to succeed and at such large scales? And what do you see in other countries and communities like this?"
Wow. No, I say wow, not from because it's a big something in my heart, and I grew up, I was just saying, my father was actually an agricultural professor at the University of Minnesota. So it's kind of in my blood. And so I've lived amongst farmers. And unfortunately, the Midwest and a lot of things are doing farming practices that are unsustainable. And they are not sustainable, which is why you need chemicals and genetically modified things that alter the nature of those expressions. There isn't an easy answer. I do know that the organic farming has exponentially grown in the United States every year. I forget the stats, but I think it went up by 80% last year alone. And I'm also in touch with a guy at the Navajo. So from a big perspective, the Navajo Nation in the Four Corners area, New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, all these places, is the largest farming operation in the United States. They did sell themselves to Monsanto, and they were, for the last, decade, doing unsustainable farming in big ways. And they now, as you start to see the common sense kind of radar going up, people are transitioning out of it. It's not a light switch, it's a transition. I think if you're willing to if you're willing to move and to allow that, you need to do it slowly as a farmer, and start with a small area and then grow from there, because the demand is there. And what I see, the majority, the United States, most of the vegetables around, the fruits and vegetables around the United States are grown in California, and that's unsustainable. But what I see around the world are simply the small farmers. That's the majority of how food is created outside of big megalopolises, right? So getting back to that is something that's deeply important to me. And I would say from a big perspective, because I have family in the Dakotas, in North and South Dakota, and there are still farmers and still very much in that situation, that if you want to do it, you have to just start and not, just annihilate what you currently have going, obviously, but start the transition, start to educating yourself, and the demand is there. Again, by healthier and healthier people voting with your dollars and what you're buying, buying the organic, buying the locally grown, all of that stuff, you're supporting that guy or that lady that are growing the vegetables in a sustainable way. So, that's a big topic, but that's the best I got right now.
Cool. I think one more question here, and then we might have a minute to open it up for just a question or two, is as far as all of your travels go, because obviously you travel often, where is your most favorite place that you've been? And can you tell us why that's your favorite place, or do you go there often? Or
yeah, that's probably a number one question for sure. And I would say for different reasons, I don't have a favorite, and they're all special, and some are hard too. Sometimes I'll travel, be on a plane for 20 hours, be in a car for another 15, to meet a farmer for an hour, to make a connection, to see what's going on. So the traveling is it's not glamorous, but when you make it there and you do the thing, because I'm committed to it, it's a special thing. So I would say, my last trip, I was in, it was a really special trip on many levels. Brazil actually was just because it's fresh in my mind. Bhutan was another planet in the Himalayas. But Brazil, and I'll just say a quick little thing on some of the reasons why I'm looking into some new superfoods that have never been seen in the United States. And these Brazilian exporters actually reached out, and this one was really interesting because of course I met the farmers and you start to see the situation, but this was, so Brazil, huge Amazon existence, obviously, and then on the Peruvian side, Amazon. So on the Brazilian Amazon, which is a massive real estate of devastation as well, and like the landmass size of France is being annihilated every year in the Amazon. But the Amazon is interesting. The Amazon gets it gets the brand, right? So you're always seeing save the Amazon, save the Amazon. But what I found out in Brazil on this trip is we were looking into certain botanicals that were in the savanna. And the savanna was as large as the Amazon, but it was a different vegetation. Most of the vegetation was in the root structure, and then it had these very unique plants that wasn't so, you were in the canopy, but a lot of vegetation. But what would happen is that they would, let's say, for speaking purposes, they saved the Amazon, but then they would turn to the savanna, which is called the Cerrado, and they would basically, oh, we can't do a deal there, we can't do unsustainable livestock or farming for livestock food, and they would annihilate the Cerrado and wipe out all this vegetation. And largely, the argument was that it's more detrimental to the atmosphere than annihilating the Amazon, because there's more root structure underneath that releases the CO2. So it was this thing that was occurring where I found these amazing tasting and wonderful products, but at the same time I got educated in a way that I had no idea how special this place was. And again, that's part of the journey. So I think this because it was fresh, this last trip was really special, and the people and the farmers, and it's just an amazing, vital community in Brazil. Yeah.